Most people are going to waste 2026 chasing AI tools and side hustles. They're going to stack prompts, buy courses, burn weekends testing features, and a year from now, they are going to wonder why they're still stuck. And if you're also wondering why, well, it's because they are solving the wrong problem. You see, I've tested dozens of AI business models myself. Some are pure hype, some are too complex, and some simply don't make money. But there is one model that works, one business that companies are desperate for right now. And no, it is not about building the next ChatGPT clone. It is not about launching SaaS startups, and it's not about selling, $7 templates. I will tell you what it is in a minute and exactly how you can do it too. But first, let's talk about why every other model breaks. Because if you understand the pattern, you will see exactly why this one is different and why it's the first business that I would start if I had to begin from zero in 2026. If I had no job, no brand, no money, no capital, nothing, this is what I would do. And the crazy part is that you don't need a technical degree, you don't need a dev team, and you don't even need capital to start. This one business is built on something far more valuable, and that is clarity. Clarity is what companies pay for, especially in nowadays chaos that we're all in the middle of. Here's the truth. Most of the AI business ideas you hear about fall into 3 traps. Trap number 1, everyone thinks that stacking 10 AI apps makes a business. It doesn't. Tools are features, not companies. You end up renting other people's systems instead of owning your own. Now, trap number 2, that's SaaS. People dream about building the next billion-dollar app. But honestly, many times you do need a little bit of funding. You do need distribution. And sometimes you also need some development expertise. I've worked with venture-backed companies. Even with millions in capital, some of them still fail. And then trap number 3 is about these low-ticket hustles. Selling $7 templates or $20 prompts might feel like a start, and it is, but it's a race to the bottom. AI makes those easier to copy every single day. And that is why so many people will grind all year and still wonder why nothing is sticking. Now, here's what does stick and the thing that nobody tells you. Businesses nowadays know that they need AI. Every single CEO, every manager out there is under a lot of pressure to do something with AI. But when you ask them what problem they're solving, you get silence because they're drowning in tools and in pilots but not seeing any results. And that is our opportunity. I spent 20 years in consulting, the first 8 in big 4 firms, and then another 12 as an internal strategy consultant in big tech. And I can tell you this, the companies that win are not the ones with the most tools. They're the ones that know how to frame the right problem and deliver the right solution fast. Now, before you think, well, I don't have the same kind of background, let me stop you there. When I first started, I was a student, okay? I had 0 connections and 0 reputation. The only thing that I had was a way of asking the right questions and structuring problems. And that was enough to land projects. And that's what I'm teaching you today. Which is why if I had to start over in 2026, I would pick the one AI business model that every company needs, whether they know it yet or not. One where you don't need a big team, a huge network, or even advanced technical skills. Just the ability to spot problems and guide businesses to solutions. And I will show you exactly how to do it. The one business that I would start first in 2026 is AI consulting. Because you see, consulting isn't a lesser version of implementation. It is a business of its own. It's something that I am seeing businesses desperately needing right now. Not the AI genius who builds the tools, it's the translator, the one who helps them make sense of AI and turn it into outcomes. That role is wide open. And inside of our AI agency, actually, we've had clients who didn't even want us to build a single workflow. Why? Because the value of consulting is clarity. Sometimes after just 1 2-hour session, they came back saying that it felt like fireworks went off in their brains because suddenly the fog lifted and they knew exactly what problems to tackle first, what tools to ignore, where AI could make them money the fastest, and what to stop wasting time on. That is the power of consulting. It is not about doing the hands-on implementation. You don't need to lock yourself in a room for 6 months to learn NA10 and Pinecone and LangChain and all the others. No, it is about giving business leaders a map so that they stop wandering in circles. Do you think you can do that? Okay, so now the question is, how do you actually do this? How do you walk into a business, cut through the noise, and deliver that kind of clarity? You know that moment in a call when you're in a corporate boardroom or, I don't know, you're in your home office, when you have to ask, can you hear me okay? Or is it too noisy here? Or sorry for the background noise. I mean, it's especially awkward when you're talking to an important client or your line manager. Poor audio quality combined with being put on the spot, I know it can make you just want to leave the meeting. And this happened to us all the time. And it really hurts your professional image when that happens. And that's exactly why we were so excited to be able to test the Insta360 Wave. This AI speakerphone has a 16 feet voice pickup range. It has advanced noise cancellation and multiple voice pickup modes in order to help you to perfectly handle any meeting scenario. Whether I need to step away from my desk, or if I have background noise, or if my husband is on another call in his office, which is nearby, the Wave makes sure that my voice comes through in a crystal clear way. Not only that, but thanks to its 3D 8 microphone array, it effectively picks up sound within 16 feet radius, basically covering a home office or even a mid-sized meeting room if you are in one. Plus, its super powerful AI algorithm filters out common background noises in order to isolate clean voice audio. Now, this is the ultimate noise cancellation test. I'm going to be typing on my keyboard as if I need to send a message to somebody in my team during a meeting. And let's see whether you can hear that on my Insta setup versus my regular camera. So this is me typing while I'm in the meeting and desperately trying to get something ready from a team member. Let's see how you're hearing me on my Insta versus my regular camera. And now here's something even more incredible. When I showed you the Insta360 Link 2 camera, the 4K webcam that I'm using to record this video, I always wondered what the pins on the bottom were for. The mystery is now solved. These pins are the secret to connecting the Link 2 camera with the Wave. By aligning them and placing the Link 2 on top, they fuse into the single unit, which is super powerful, and it enables automatic speaker tracking. While those features solve all of my meeting stress, what truly blew me away was the AI meeting assistant, because the Wave isn't only for communication, it is also a standalone recorder. Because its separate hardware enables you to record all of your meetings across platforms like Zoom or Teams or Meet, and then transcribes all of that. And you can also use different LLMs and customizable templates to generate summaries. I mean, using this makes sure that you never have to replay a recording. And when you open the Insta360 Insight website, all of your recordings are synced via Wi-Fi. They're sorted by time with accurate transcripts, with AI summaries ready, including your to-do items. If I have a question, then I just use the Ask AI feature, and it finds the exact moment in the recording and it provides a citation, ensuring accuracy. Honestly, even when you zone out in a meeting, you're covered. It records and it organizes everything, and it takes the stress and the pain out of meetings. So if you're also interested in upgrading your meeting quality and your daily workflow, check out the link below to get the Insta360 Wave. Because when you free yourself from tedious meetings, you can focus your time on what truly brings value. Thank you, Insta360, for partnering with us on today's video. Now, let's get back to building that consulting practice. Well, you don't need to be the world's biggest expert to do this. What matters is knowing how to guide the conversation. And what you need are frameworks, because frameworks turn consulting from this vague advice into a structured process that gives clients confidence. And in this noisy AI market, confidence is priceless. So I'm not going to send you to take 50 courses in 2 months. I will share with you 4 frameworks that are easy to learn and that will make a huge difference for you and for your clients. So where do you even start with a client, right? Businesses feel like this tangled mess, but in reality, every single company runs on the same sequence, believe it or not. That is the value chain. And the first thing that you do as a consultant is map it out, okay? So really, the first question has to be, where does AI actually move the needle the most, right? That is your value chain analysis. And if you're new to this concept, you've never heard it before, it was introduced by Harvard professor Michael Porter, who is this really well-known dude in the world of strategy. He wrote The Competitive Advantage, which if you want to stick around in this consulting space, you do want to read it. But basically what he did was he mapped how companies create value step by step. And that showed businesses where profit was leaking and where to focus their resources. And trust me, every business has a value chain. It's a sequence of steps that turns strangers into paying customers and then keeps them coming back. And it usually looks something like this. Obviously, it depends a lot on which business you're talking about, but for the most part, it starts with lead generation, that goes into sales, that goes into onboarding, that goes to delivery, that goes to support, that goes to retention. And your job as a consultant is to map that chain and find the weakest link, because AI doesn't need to fix everything. It just needs to fix the bottleneck. So let's take an example to make this very simple. Let's say you're working with a coaching business, okay? And you're looking and the leads are fine and the sales calls are converting, but the onboarding, that's the total mess, okay? So clients sign up and then they get stuck waiting for emails or contracts or logins. that is where revenue is leaking out. And by automating that onboarding step with AI, you don't just give them time back, but you also protect revenue and you improve retention. So what you want is make sure that you don't sprinkle AI everywhere. You want to find the bottleneck and then break that open, okay? That is the power of the value chain analysis. It keeps you from chasing shiny tools and it points you straight to the piece of the business where AI creates the biggest ROI. Now, once you've mapped the chain and you've spotted the bottleneck, the next step is to make sure that you are solving the right problem. Because trust me, clients will always tell you what they think they need. And after doing this for a long time, I can tell you 9 times out of 10, they're wrong. We want a chatbot, we want an AI dashboard, we want automation, but consultants know. What they ask for and what they actually need are 2 very different things. That is why I want to introduce you to the design thinking framework. So design thinking was popularized by IDEO, one of the most influential design consultancies in the world. And they worked on everything from Apple's first mouse to medical devices and to entire business processes. And their insight was actually pretty revolutionary. They saw that innovation doesn't start with technology, it starts with humans. Because before IDEO, a lot of companies were building products and systems by starting with the tech. We have this new tool, let's find a use for it. But IDEO turned that around, okay? And they said, let's start with empathy. Let's understand the user, define their problem, and only then design the solution. Which kind of makes sense, right? That's why design thinking is so important, especially in AI consulting. Right now, every business is chasing the shiny tools. Let's buy ChatGPT Enterprise. Let's build a bot. Let's use an LLM. But if you start with the tool, you almost always miss the real problem. And design thinking keeps you grounded. It helps you empathize and define and ideate and prototype and then test. It is human first, not tech first. So let's take a quick example. Let's say a client tells you, we want an AI chatbot. Well, step number 1 is to empathize. Talk to their team, talk to their customers if you can. It turns out maybe that the real issue isn't customer service. Maybe it's onboarding. Then step number 2, define, frame the actual problem. New clients are getting stuck in the first week and that's costing us sales. Then step number 3 is ideate. You want to brainstorm multiple solutions because you can have AI intake forms and automated welcomes or guided onboarding assistance. I don't know. There's lots of ways you can solve that. And then step number 4, prototype. Test the simplest version, right? That's the testing where you run and get feedback and then you refine. And while in one single consulting session, you can't go through all 5 of the steps, you can always do the first 3. And you've just saved the client months of wasted spend chasing the wrong solution. Great consultants do not just solve problems, they reframe them. That is the power of design thinking, right? It was born out of IDEO, but it is still one of the most powerful tools in business today, especially when everyone is blinded by all of these shiny features. Okay, we need to move to the next one because it is just as powerful, if not more. So once you've uncovered the real problem, the danger is that things start getting messy. A dozen ideas, overlapping issues, there's no clear way forward. That is why you need MECE. This is a framework that forces you to structure everything cleanly so that you don't miss anything. And so the client feels confident in your process, but you also feel clear in your output. The principle is mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. This is what MECE stands for. And it was coined at McKinsey to train their consultants in structured thinking. And trust me, when you work in consulting, this literally gets burned in your brain. And I know it sounds fancy, but here's what it actually means in simple English. Every option fits in one single bucket. Nothing overlaps and nothing gets left out. So let's say that you're looking at a company's customer acquisition, for example. Without structure, it can look like chaos. Ads, referrals, partnerships, events, cold outreach, who knows. But then with MECE, you make it clean. You can say bucket number 1, paid channels. Bucket number 2, organic channels. And then bucket number 3, partnerships. They are mutually exclusive, but collectively exhaustive. Nothing gets left behind. Now, when you analyze the problem, you're not mixing apples and oranges. You can see clearly, okay, paid ads are working, but partnerships are untapped. That is where AI could make a big difference or the biggest impact, for example. Trust me, clients do not pay for ideas. They pay for clarity. That is what MECE gives you. A structured way to think so that your recommendations sound sharp, professional, and bulletproof. Because remember, a messy consultant makes a nervous client, but a structured consultant makes a confident client, one that will recommend you and one that will come back. And once you've got a clear, structured plan, you cannot just let it sit on paper. You need to move fast because AI is changing weekly at this point. Speed is going to be perfection at any time of day. And that is why we're going to finish with the OODA loop. This is a cycle that keeps you observing, deciding, and acting quickly without losing control. So let's talk about speed. Because even if you've mapped the value chain, you've reframed the problem, you've structured your ideas, none of it matters if you move too slowly. So that's why I'm introducing you to the OODA loop. It was created in the 1950s by Colonel John Boyd, who was a US Air Force fighter pilot. And OODA stands for Observe, Orient, Decide, and Act, because Boyd's insight was pretty simple. The pilot who cycles through decisions faster wins the dogfight, even if their jet isn't the fastest. And their principle is gold in AI consulting, because AI is moving super fast, light speed, weekly. Tools change, APIs shift, competitors adapt, and if you're designing a 12-month roadmap for a client, it'll be obsolete by the time you're probably finished. Instead, you want to use the OODA loop. So you want to observe, watch what's happening, where the processes are breaking, what time is being wasted, and then orient, put it into context, benchmark against peers or industry norms or standards, and then decide. Pick one intervention. Do not overthink it, just keep it simple, okay? Stupid simple. And then act, implement, test, and go at it again. I've said it multiple times, but I'm going to say it again. The point is not to be perfect. It is to move faster than the alternative. Because in AI, speed beats perfection every single time. That's what keeps your consulting valuable, not a 100-page report, but an iterative process where every single cycle gets the client closer to the results. I mean, you can spend 2026 stacking apps that don't fit, or you can step into the role of a trusted advisor, the person that companies actually turn to when they're lost. That's why if I had to start over, this is the first business that I would build. Not because it's trendy, but because it is so powerful, so impactful. It helps people cut through the chaos and act with confidence. So now the only question left is, in the middle of this AI revolution, which role are you going to play? All right, you guys, that was it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Like this video if you did, be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so. Share it with anyone in your circle of friends or family. In the meantime, if you want to practice this together with over 11,000 other people, you are always more than welcome to join our community. It is completely free. Please take your time to answer the 3 questions. We do take that very seriously. And if you feel like you want to be surrounded by people who are on the exact same path as you are, that is the place to be. So I'll see you on the other side. Thank you again for taking the time and watching this video till the end. I really appreciate it. I know your time is valuable. So thank you for taking the time and for being here with us every single video we post. And hopefully I'll see you in the community. Have a great day.